This conference will now be recorded.
That was practice. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, City Council. I'd like to call to order the special City Council meeting Thursday, July 7th, 2022 at 7:01 p.m. There is a quorum present. All members are present in the chambers. And if you bow your head with me, and I'll offer the invocation, and then we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Holy Father, for all your many blessings. We thank you for your guidance and your wisdom. We ask this to continue and for all people. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Happy 4th of July. Citizen comments. Is there anybody in the audience in the chambers that would like to approach the council and comment on any item? Is there anyone online, Stephen? There's no one online and no one in the audience. We'll move to item number 4, public hearings, ordinances, resolutions, and action items. 4A, hold a public hearing, discuss, consider, and act regarding an ordinance approving a specific use permit per section 4.3.6 of chapter 14 of the zoning ordinance to allow for 168 square foot open, means no size, roofed shade structure, which will be the fourth accessory structure on the residential property, zoned in the R2 zoning district on approximately 1.0140 acres of land located on Block 7, Lot 25, and the Hassett Park Addition, more commonly known as 305 Berry Drive. Mr. Thetford.
Evening, Mayor, Council. As stated in the subject line there, this is started as a request for a permit to place an open shade structure accessory building on 305 Berry Drive. The applicant is present here. The issue with this is when you have more than 3 accessory buildings, our ordinance requires you to, actually does not allow you to do it. The only avenue of relief is by way of a specific use permit. While we're here tonight, I do have some attachments here that shows the location of the other buildings, the building in question, and has a depiction of what the building will look like on the last file that we have there. Like I said, the applicant is present. If you have any questions, I'll answer any questions that you have.
I got a question. Will you go back to that first picture? It only showed 3 buildings. Are those the existing buildings now? Or is a bigger one the house?
Yeah, on the site plan, it's there are. You have the site plan on there? Okay, so there's one to the you see where the driveway comes up, there's one to the left of the driveway right there, okay. One a little bit right there, one in the very back corner. There you go. Okay. That's your 3.
I have a question. Is the pool already there?
It is permitted. I believe it is there now.
Hey, one question, Mike. The building in the back right corner.
Yes, sir.
Are those dimensions actually 10 by 3 by 12? I'm looking at the sketch drawing.
Yeah, I was trying to read that.
10 foot 3 inches by 12 feet. It's right. a shed.
I measured that, and it was approximately the same size as the gazebo is being constructed.
Right out.
Yes. almost 6 feet tall.
Another question, does the fence cover the front so you can't see it from Berry Drive? Or will you be able to see this building, the gazebo, from the street?
So you'll be able to see it from the street somewhat. Fence is not that tall. You'll still be able to see the top portion of the gazebo.
So the fence is facing the street also, right?
Yes.
Yeah, one question, Mike, on regarding the ordinance that pertains to the outbuildings.
Yes.
Is there any sides descriptions on the outbuildings?
The only thing we have the biggest building you can have is 3,000 square feet.
I thought when this ordinance was put in place, there was some minimums, I thought, that were discussed at the time.
I don't recall any minimums.
Okay.
Yes.
One quick question though, too. Does Barry have an HOA?
No.
No, they don't have an HOA. So does the city have anything? Is that metal roof going to be fine, or does it need to have a composite roof to match, or is there anything the city has? What it looks like, it looks going to be a metal roof.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything that addresses that.
The roof, okay.
Looks like Councilman Hero, you look like you
Just
might have another
want to make a
question.
comment. I mean, I have no issue with this. It looks like it's going to be a nice gazebo that goes with a pool. So I'm okay with this. I don't have any problems with it. This is my comment.
All right then. Is there any more questions for the presentation aspect of this? If not, we'll go through the public hearing.
I had one.
Yes.
Did planning and zoning recommend approval?
Yes, it is unanimous
Thank you.
recommendation.
All right then. Okay, if there's no more questions here on the presentation, we'll go to the public hearing. At this time, I open the public hearing at 7:09 p.m. For anyone that would like to speak to this special use permit. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Is there anyone online who would like to speak? There is no one online. There's no one in the chamber, so I close the public hearing. Let's go to number 3, discussion, consideration, and action, council. If you have no discussion, then I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor Holsey?
Yes.
I move to approve the act regarding ordinance approving the special use permit for section 4.3.6 of chapter 14 of the zoning ordinance to allow for 168 square foot open, no size roof shade structure, which will be the 4th accessory structure on the residential property zoned in R2 zoning district on approximately 1.0140 acres of land located on block 7, lot 25 of Hazlet Park Addition, more commonly known as 305 Berry Drive.
Motion is made to approve the special use permit request as written on the agenda item. Is there a second?
Mayor Hosey, I second.
There is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? One opposed. Motion carries 4-1. If we go to item 4B, hold a public hearing, discuss, consider, and act regarding an ordinance approving a specific use permit and approving a site plan and landscape plan pursuant to Article 4, Table 4.4.3 of Chapter 14 of the zoning ordinance for time fill and fast fill fueling station for 911 Railhead Drive. Mr. Swanky.
Yeah, Mayor Holsey and members of the council, this is an SUP that has been brought forward. And if you'll remember back, a couple months, the ordinance was changed to add this use to the use chart since it was not found elsewhere in there. And so we've done that. And one of the requirements was for an SUP and as well as a site plan and a landscape plan. And they have done this and they have met the criteria that was set forth through the SUP. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this, and the applicant is in the audience.
Very good, thank you. Council, any questions with regard to the presentation? If not, we'll go to the public hearing. At this time, at 7:12 p.m., I open the public hearing to anyone who would like to speak to this issue. Will you please give your name and address?
Good evening. My name is Cole Weber with Peloton Lane Solutions. I'm here representing the applicant. My address, 9800 Hillwood Parkway, Suite 250, Fort Worth, Texas, 76177. We're just here. I'm here supporting here to represent the applicant. We've got the end user of the site, expert with clean energy, that would be able to answer any questions as well. We're just glad to be on the agenda and that it was moved up a few weeks. And we're just here to hopefully answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this issue? Is there anyone online? No one online? There's no one in the chambers. I close the public hearing at 7:13 p.m. We go to item 3, discussion, consideration, and action. So council, if you have any questions for the end user of this, please ask. Otherwise, discuss,
Mayor,
consider.
I've got one question. What type of fuels are we actually looking at? It says clean energy. Is this like a propane refueling station?
It's a compressed natural gas. And it's my understanding that they're going to be reusing methane gas from feedlots, that they'll collect the gas and bring it here and distribute it into the trucks. The time fill will be, the trucks will be brought in and parked, and the driver will leave in a personal vehicle while their trucks are being filled overnight.
Okay, so it's, like I said, compressed natural gas. So we're not talking regular gasoline, diesel type fuel.
No, we're not.
Okay, thank you.
Question is, we approved this already, I believe. So what exactly is it to, because it needed a special use permit? Is that why we're approving this?
That is
Or
correct. When this first came through, it was just to approve the ordinance allowing it to happen. And we had a pretty detailed discussion at that time of the safety factors and what was going to go on. But this is the first time they've actually come through with an application with the bona fide site plan, landscape plan to do it.
Any other discussion or questions, council? If not, certainly would entertain a motion.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the specific use permit, approving a site plan and landscape plan pursuant to Article 4, Table 4.43, Chapter 14 of the zoning ordinance for the full-time and fast fill fueling station for 911 Railhead Drive.
Motion has been made to approve the specific use permit for the time fill and fast fill fueling station 911 Railhead Drive as written in the agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. Item 4C, hold a public hearing, discuss, consider, and act on an ordinance approving a specific use permit for a temporary concrete batch plant on 119.788 acres located approximately 1,150 feet north of La Terra Vista Drive and 200 feet west of John Day Road, and commonly known as La Terra Phase 2. The property is in the La Terra Plan Development District. Mr. Schwenke.
Mayor and members of the council, this is a proposal to put a concrete batch plant in to build phase 2 of Laterra. And it's the common practice when you have a massive subdivision like this to do that. It actually saves wear and tear on your roads because the materials we brought in, but then all the trucks going back and forth with the concrete to the roadside will all be there, and they will not be going off-site. They will not service anything off-site. It'll be strictly for this subdivision. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this unanimously.
Very good. Does council have any questions with regard to the presentation? If not, then we'll move on to the public hearing. I now open the public hearing for anyone to speak on this issue. The time is 7:17 p.m. Is there anyone in the chambers who would like to speak to this special or specific use permit? Is there anybody online?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Please state your name, is it Hawk? Mr. Hawk, please state your name and your address.
My name's Curtis Hawk, 176 Lakeview Drive, Aledo, Texas, 76008. And I'm just here to represent LH Lacey. We're the ones that will be operating the batch plant on site. If any questions.
In the public hearing, there's no, you make a statement in support or against the
Okay.
specific use permit. There is no questions from the council.
Okay.
I'll take it you're in support of it.
Yes, sir. I'm
Very
in full
good.
support.
All right. Is there anybody else online or in the chambers that would like to speak to this? If not, okay, I close the public hearing at 7:18 p.m. Council, let's go to item 3, discussion, consideration, and action. Do we have any questions for the applicant or anybody that, may be concerned with this, or anybody else, or Mr. Swanky? Yes.
I'd just like to make one statement. In the ordinance that approves this, it's limited to 6 months duration. After that, it has to be gone.
Very good. Everybody understand this is for a maximum of 6 months.
Well, let me ask a question on that then. If it has to go past the 6 months, would they have to come back in front of the board then?
Absolutely.
I had a question as well. I noticed that the planning and zoning recommended that we also include in the motion that finished materials we take in will not carry off site, but that's not understood. We need to specifically say that for that to hold them to that.
Yes, it's in the ordinance that they cannot take it off site. All the materials that are brought in and concrete mix will stay on site. It cannot leave.
So we don't need to add that. If they do, they're in violation of the ordinance.
No, it's in your ordinance.
It's in ours, so they would be in violation, is what I'm saying.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, Councilmember Broyles. And I want to remind the council, before you speak, take the floor, address the chair, please. Councilmember Broyles, rather, had a couple of speakers to go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So you said 6 months, that's the Hazlet ordinance, is 6 months? Because I thought I read in the agreement that it was 5 months, that would be the max.
What they say it's going to be 5 months max.
I thought 4, but 5 months.
They say it's 5 months max, but in the ordinance that you're going to be approving tonight, the SUP ordinance states a maximum of 6 months. A little leeway.
I thought the extra month to 5 months was the leeway. I thought there was already a little leeway, a month leeway.
Well, it just depends on weather. When it gets to be over 100 degrees, they actually have a hard time pouring concrete.
But I thought the leeway was already in the contract. I think it was like 4 months, and then we gave a month leeway.
Yeah, their proposal says it'll take between 3 months and 5 months to do.
Okay.
Our ordinance, our base ordinance gives 6 months maximum.
Okay.
Are there any other questions or anything?
Mayor, one other question, please.
Yes.
I read through here, but not word for word, so you may have already answered it somewhere along the lines. But I get the 6 month duration, but there are times during the day that it requests to be operational. Normally in summertime, concrete operations start early in the morning, 2 or 3 to beat the heat. So is that addressed anywhere in here?
We typically, the earliest we would start in the summertime would be 6 a.m. and standard is 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hawk.
Yes, sir.
Council, if there's no more discussion or questions, then I would entertain a motion, please.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the specific use permit for a temporary concrete batch plant on 119.788 acres located approximately 1,150 feet north of La Terra Vista Drive and 200 feet west of John Day Road, and commonly known as La Terra Phase 2. The property is in the La Terra Plan Development District.
Motion's been made to approve the specific use permit for the La Terra Plan Development District and specific La Terra Phase 2, but as written in the agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mayor.
There is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Unopposed, motion carries. Item 4D, hold a public hearing, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of a site plan to add 2 portable buildings to the Hassett Elementary School site described as Lot 1, Block 1 of the La Terra Elementary School Addition, more commonly known as 1188 Wisdom Way. Mr.
Mayor
Schwenke.
Halsey,
Yes.
for the presentation, I'm going to recuse myself as an NISD employee and leave the chamber.
Very good. Thank you very much. Mr. Schwenke, presentation, please.
Yes, Mayor and member of the council, this is like I said, an application for a site plan for 2 portable buildings to be placed at the elementary school here in Hazlet. And they originally submitted the no site plan because it was outside our jurisdiction. And so they had built the building and there was no provision of anything on that site for the school or whatever. And so before you put new buildings on there, they had to come forward with this site plan. And one of the things in conversations with the school district, they have informed us that it is going to be removed in 13 months. So there will be a time limit. And in fact, that was made with the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Commission. They recommended approval with a time limit of 13 months. And having said that, they did approve it and recommended it to the council.
Very good. Council, you got any questions with regard to the presentation?
Mayor Halsey?
Yes.
Yes, I have a question. Here it says planning and zoning recommendations. It doesn't really say whether they recommended to do it or not, whether it was.
Yeah, the reason why that's written sort of vague is that meeting was held last night. And the agenda for council was already out. So I couldn't write whether or not they approved it or not. But they did approve it, and they approved it with that stipulation.
Very good.
Mayor Halsey.
Yeah.
So again, you said that they approved it with the stipulation. So if we were to make any motion, we ought to approve with the 13-month stipulation.
You can do that. You don't have to do it, but it's recommended that you would do that.
But that's what the Planning and Zoning
Yes.
Committee recommended? Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
I would recommend that you make that as part of your motion. Also, I will say that NISD, to the representative I spoke with, that was their statement. They'll be there a maximum of 13 months, but it would be good for you, any who makes the motion, to stipulate 13 months maximum. If there's no more discussion, I would entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Trying to, excuse me. I would open the public hearing at this time at 7:26 PM for anyone who would like to speak on this item. Is there anyone in the chambers that would like to speak on this specific use permit? Is there anyone online who would like to speak to this? There is no one online. There is no one in the chamber. Therefore, I close the public hearing at 7:27 PM. And we go to item 3, discussion, consideration, and action.
Mayor Holsey, I'll take a shot at this. I move to approve the site plan to add 2 portable buildings to the Hazlet Elementary School site described as Lot 1, Block 1 of the Laterra Elementary School addition, more commonly known as 1188 Wisdom Way, for no more than a period of 13 months.
Motion is made to approve the site plan and add 2 portable buildings to the Hazlet Elementary School site and as described in the agenda, with the stipulation the maximum period of time is 13 months. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I second.
There is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
That's 4-0 and 1 that being recused. Motion carries. 4E, hold a public hearing, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of a revised site plan to add an additional 30,000 square feet of building on an industrial lot described as Lot 3, Block 1 of Westport Park Number 1 Addition, more commonly known as 905 Railhead Drive. Presentation, Mr. Swanky.
Yeah, Mayor Holsey, a member of the council, this is an expansion of an existing site. It's Composites 1, and they have met our standards as far as the building and landscaping, the landscape plan, and it was passed by the Planning and Zoning Commission last night with a unanimous vote, and they're recommending approval by the council.
Very good. Thank you. Council, do you have any questions with regard to the presentation? If not, we'll go to the public hearing. Open it, the public hearing to anyone who would like to speak on this topic at 7:29 PM. Is there anyone in the chambers who would like to speak to this?
Hello again. Cole Weber with Peloton Lane Solutions, 9800 Hillwood Parkway, Fort Worth, Texas, 76177. I'm here representing the owner and applicant and just here to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Public hearing is for those, expressing support or opposition. I assume you're in support.
You got me. Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone online who would like to speak to this? And anyone else in the chambers? There's no one online and no one in the chambers wishing to speak. Therefore, I close the public hearing at 7:30 PM. Council, let's go to item 3, discussion, consideration, and action.
Mayor Halsey,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the revised site plan to add an additional 30,000 square foot of building on an industrial lot described as Lot 3, Block 1 of the Westport Park Number 1 Addition, more commonly known as 905 Railhead Drive.
Motion is made to approve the revised site plan as written in the agenda item. Is there a second?
Mayor, I'll second that.
There is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. 4F, hold a public hearing, discuss, consider, and act regarding the approval of a revised site plan and landscape plan to add 166 additional parking spaces, 43 additional dock spaces, and 200 additional trailer parking spaces to an existing building on an industrial lot described as Lot 1, Block 5 of the Westport Park Addition, more commonly known as 120 Intermodal Parkway. Mr. Schwanke.
Mayor Holsey and members of the council, this is a very interesting little site plan. When it first came to us, it was well under park, and they've added the parking spaces that they need to it. And they're not changing the building at all, except adding more dock doors on the east side. In the construction of their new parking places, they're going to be cutting down some tree. And there's a fund that we have with the city. It's a tree fund. And for every caliper inch that they cut down, they have to pay $50. And they're paying $9,700 to that fund to replace the calipers that they cut down. And then they're meeting the landscape ordinance beside that. And if you can go even to the landscape plan, you can see where they've got some X's on some of the trees, which are going to be cut down. But anyway, they're replacing those trees with a fund. If you can just scroll to the right. There should be an exhibit in your packet that shows that where they've actually X out trees. It's on the overall site plan. The Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval of this unanimously.
So just a quick question. So they're replacing every tree that they cut down with another tree, or is there going to be any additional trees?
They're planting additional trees. This is the exhibit I was talking about. You see
Okay.
there's X's throughout that, right there. The X's would be interior in the drive lanes, and so they had to remove them. And then they're planting trees back in the islands to meet the ordinance. For a total of $9,700 going back into the tree.
I have a question. So you said they're giving $9,700 to the tree fund?
Yeah.
And it's $50 for every tree,
It's $50 for a caliper inch.
a caliber inch.
So if you have a tree that's 10 inches times 50, that's where you get.
It's the diameter.
So not only are they paying for that, they are planting additional
That
trees.
is correct.
So that would be about $500 tree. An inch
It depends on the size of
Depends
it.
on the size of the tree, but if they're paying us $500 for a 10-inch. And how many are they replanting? Do we know?
Well, it meets the landscape. You know, they have to have them throughout along the edge. I don't know exactly where it should be on the landscape plan.
Looking at that site plan, it almost appears it's 1 for 1. Do they not, do they have a overall site plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, there were two in there. There was a site plan without the landscape, and there's one with the landscape. There's the one with the landscape. Along intermodal, they've got all the trees required, and then in the parking lot, they've got all the trees as well as transport drive.
It does remark the quantity of the canopy trees and what common name they're, and botanic name they're putting in. So if y'all, I don't know, page 10. So looks like 40, but then there's also ornamental grasses and shrubs. That might not be an exhaustive list.
This is similar to the site plan we saw a couple months ago where they had big trees right against their building where they were going to cut those down. They also contributed to the tree fund because caliper branches they cut. Just like these in the parking lot, they just didn't fit with the overall new design of the parking lot. So they had to be removed. Yes. That is the chart. That's where you get the calculation for the.
Okay, that calculates it designates protected trees and also it designates how many are being cut. This does not designate the total that they are replacing or planting as well. Is there a chart in the landscape plan that does that?
There's a chart that shows how many trees are planted.
Is it on this page or another
It
page?
should be on that page.
Can you zoom out? Is this it right here?
Yeah.
That's the chart?
Here it says required, existing, provide.
And this is all trees?
Trees.
Oh, I see. Trees at the very top. That's trees and shrubs.
If you continue down, if I'm looking at it correctly, it'll give the material list, plant and materials list. And it talks about the canopy trees. Is that, I want to see if that list is also, it's way farther down.
Right hand, left hand side of the page.
Just keep going down. Keep going, keep going. Oh, back up one, right there, where it says quantity 14 of late spark elms. Is that what they're planting in replacement?
Yeah. Ordinance has a tree list that they pick from. Yeah.
So they're 5-inch in caliper, they're 14 to 16 foot tall, both tree types, and they're putting in a total of 40. Very good.
Mayor Halsey, one question.
Yeah.
And this goes away from the landscape plan itself too, because it looks like we're also approving the additional parking spaces and also the loading the 43 additional dock spaces. Is there anything that we need to see? I mean, if they're cutting holes in the side of their building again, is there anything that we would need to actually look at prior to?
Oh, absolutely. This is just the site plan thing that they can do it. They'll have to submit plans to the building inspections department before they cut one hole in the walls.
Yes, and just as a reminder, Council, this is the site plan only that you're approving, you're considering. Is there any more discussion on with regard to the plans or the presentation? If not, then we'll go to the public hearing. Is there anyone open a public hearing at 7:41 p.m.? Is there anyone in the chambers who would like to speak to this item? Is there anyone online who would like to speak to this item? Okay, there's none in the chamber, none online. I close the public hearing at 7:41 p.m. Go to item 3, discussion, consideration, and action. Council.
Mayor Holsey,
Yes.
I move to approve the revised site and landscape plan to add 166 additional parking spaces, 43 additional dock spaces, and 200 additional trailer parking spaces to an existing building on industrial lot described as Lot 1, Block 5 of the Westport Park Addition, more commonly known as 120 Intermodal Parkway.
Motion is made to approve this revised site plan as described in item 4F of the agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There's none opposed. Motion carries. Thank you, council. Number 5, executive session. We have no need to go to executive session. Item 6 is mute. There's no action from executive session. Item 7, adjournment, and may I have a motion?
Mayor Holsey, I move to adjourn.
Motion is made to adjourn. Is there a second?
Mayor Halsey, I second.
All in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, council. 7:42 PM.